New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life, it's free. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, and welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robyn Rice Olmsted.
And I am Dr. Natasha Wilson.
And we're happy to be here with you today.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us, and welcome. Feel free to let us know where you're joining in from in the chat. Say hello so we can talk to you. Today we are exploring love as a mirror. Every relationship is a mirror. And last week we talked about friendship, and is it hard to make friendships, or is it just us? And you know how it is to really do that at this stage and age and day and time and all those good things. And so we thought we'd just dive a little deeper into possibilities around that and see what comes up. But before we do that, we're checking out what's going on over there in Australia.
Nothing, which I love. I absolutely love. I feel like the biggest thing is it's tax season here, and I just paid my taxes. So I feel like that's the biggest thing. So other than that, I'm happy because when I call and check in on my family and friends and clients in the U.S., there's enough happening there to feel the whole world a couple times over.
We got plenty going on here.
Yeah, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, it's just busy. You know, we're Gil's Center is moving, so everything is like in that moving frenzy. It's all good. It's just a lot, and but it's really good for me because it's interesting to really pick and choose where I get to play, you know. And
I like that.
yeah, I do too. And there's so there's a lot of surrender involved, and and it's interesting to watch my thoughts. I'm hilarious. My inner brain is hilarious. We have a good time together. I mean, I can talk myself in or out of anything, and then when I watch my thoughts and I hear things, I'm like, really, you call yourself spiritual? Certain things that come up. So yeah, it's a good learning experience. So that's what's going on for me. It's just busy.
Yeah. No, I realized, oh God, if we're going to talk about relationships being a mirror, I got to tell you, I'm not trying to date. I want to make it clear. Like, I'm not like trying to date, but I have met some people. Okay. And, it got your girl wondering, like, yeah, what am I mirroring? Like, what am I putting out there?
I think dating and having kids is a special bonus for being able to look at your mirroring. It's like, what's in my consciousness? What's happening?
Seriously, I'm just like, I've just had some of, when I look at it through a cosmic lens, it's so hilarious. and I have to laugh. I just have to laugh. I just have to. Anyways. And yeah, children are a mirror. I think I told you this morning that yesterday I had to be Rosie the Riveter. I had to like fix this thing on my air conditioner because it was like 104 or 106 degrees here in Australia. And there was just no way I was not going to have air conditioning in my bedroom. And right after that, I had to go collect my daughter from school. So I was covered in dust, and I had my hair bonnet on because I was trying to keep the dust out of my hair. And I just went to the school like that. And when my youngest daughter saw me, she was like, "Mom, are you okay? What happened?" And then my oldest daughter was like, "Mom, you're outside in the black the black lady hair bonnet. Did someone make you mad?" You know,
yeah.
Talk about life mirroring you. My daughters mirror me so much.
Well, and the audience is listening, right? I mean, they know exactly what the signs are for their kids, right? That's so funny. Well, welcome, Bonnie. So good to have you here, Bonnie Morgan Gonzalez. Many of you know her as your doula for grief.
Yeah,
and she has a show here on New Thought Media Network as well, and is doing wonderful things out in the world. Check out her website. She's doing grief retreats and workshops and all kinds of stuff. So I'm glad it's quiet there in Mexico. I'm glad, because you deserve a little break.
Yeah. I mean, it's Mardi Gras. So there's that. I haven't had Mardi Gras in so long.
I know. And you had real Mardi Gras there. In
New Orleans. Yeah. We do have a Mardi Gras in Sydney, which I do find interesting. I don't understand the origins of that Mardi Gras, but I've never been, but we do have it down in Sydney. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, before we go on to our card pull of the week, I just want to acknowledge my background. It is Gil in the midst of building my desk.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's the transition. I was thinking about the move of the church. I thought maybe that was like,
no, that would have been a good excuse. It's just that I love my husband, and I love it that he's handy, and I don't know, call it timing, or the years have passed that he does it slower now. So it's like, I try to be patient, when I waited for the dryer to be fixed for like 6 months. I'm like, couldn't we just call someone? No, it's just a part. I'll get it. I'll fix it. I'll do it. Okay. We're hanging clothes up, the clothes are coming out stiff. I'm like, couldn't we just, no, let's just, we need to order it. I'm like, does that mean me? So everything takes a little bit longer. Yeah. But he does it well, and I'm appreciative. So at some point, that will be a desk. Anyway, I think it's time for our card pull of the week, because let's see what's guiding us. This is our time where we pull a card and see what it has to say about what's coming up, what the signs are, what Spirit is trying to tell us. So
Robyn, remind us of the deck that you're using today.
I have the Sacred Traveler deck today, the Oracle cards, and I'm shuffling, and I will stop
now.
Now?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's pretty. The card is Joy and Delight. See?
Okay.
It actually looks like one of your little blonde angels.
My baby.
It says, open your heart to joy. For those of you that don't know, I'm referencing her children that are little blonde cutie pies.
Yes, and they prove the power of nurture over nature. Because I was telling our producer and Robyn this morning, my children may have been born in Australia and born of another woman, and they may be blonde hair and blue eyed, but they are African American in their soul.
It's a good thing. It's a good spirit to have.
Mm.
So it says, you do not need to suffer to grow. You can grow leaps and bounds through joy. True happiness comes from following the dictates of your soul.
Mm.
Do what gives you joy. Celebrate and have fun. Stop and embrace life, yourself, and others. Say yes. Take steps today to expand your joy. You don't need to do it all at once, but you do need to start.
Mm.
Your purpose in life is to experience joy. Allow joy and ecstasy to follow through you wildly and freely. Share your love. Happiness spreads to others like wildfire, and you can help heal the world.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, I think that it seems very apropos for our show actually today, and what are you holding on to and spreading joy. But I think, yeah, it's always a good lesson to remember we don't have to learn through pain
Through suffering.
and suffering.
And the reason I just said suffering is because I remember the first time when I studied Buddhism and coming across this notion that suffering is a choice. Pain is not, right? You stump your toe, it's gonna hurt, so you're gonna have pain. But if I complain and then I hold on to it and then I complain about where the furniture is and my stupid toe and this stupid thing now I'm generating suffering, right? So suffering is the choice, pain is not. And I remember like that being really profound for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also for me the message is really pertinent to everything that's going on in the world. Because I think sometimes people feel guilty feeling joy or going to that happy place when there's so much going on in the world.
Yeah. And the reality is there's always been a lot going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think the difference right now is that everybody has a camera and internet. And there's nothing new about this suffering. I think it's new to certain people in certain parts of the world, but some version of what's going on, particularly in the United States, has been happening all over the planet for a very long time. So, yeah, I think we have like a duty, you're right. If we can live in this place where we experience relative peace and joy and safety, I feel like we have a duty. I love the part that says our purpose here is to experience joy. Like, I feel like we have a duty to sort of hold vigil for the good, to hold vigil for justice and for grace and for love. I just think we have a duty.
Yeah.
It's like, otherwise, what are we putting into the world? More suffering? Does the world need me to, woe is it? Whatever, right? How's that happening? How's that helping?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, and I think it's, but then I asked the question, with all of this going on and it being in the forefront for most people, why am I needing to learn like this? Why are we needing to learn like this? Why? You sure there's always been some form of it, and it seems extremely pronounced and you know, accentuated in different ways. Like, so I'm like, what is it that I mean, that people needed to learn like this, you know, that
Well,
because it does feel like suffering.
yeah. And I don't think it's magical in that sense. And I'm thinking about Marianne Williamson, whose work I followed, whose political work I followed, and really, when I wasn't pulling for Bernie Sanders, I was pulling for Marianne Williamson. I was actually a delegate for Bernie Sanders in the past, but always, always loved Marianne Williamson's vision for the possibility of America, and always naming that possibility is based on a willingness to reckon with the ghost of the past.
Right.
And so I think about Marianne Williamson, and then I think about my great grandma, who said, and she used to just say this all the time, and I get it now. My great grandma used to say, white people have to get hit in the head with their own brick. So when I say, like, none of this suffering is new, Black folks have been suffering. I mean, it's the origins of why we are even in this hemisphere. Colonization isn't new. None of this suffering is new. None of this pain, human pain, is new. The Holocaust, nothing new. What's new is that we're seeing finally that we're all on this big ship called planet Earth, and we either sink or swim together. That's what's new, that we're starting to see. We're in it all together. There's no place, and Dr. King said this, and I, maybe being that it's Black History Month in the United States, we cannot, wherever there is injustice, we cannot have justices, something like that, or injustice everywhere affects everyone, something like, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm butchering it, but it's, that very well-known saying by Dr. King. So injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, something like that. So somebody knows the correct quote, share it with us, please. But
so let me just share. Bonnie is asking, how were you both affected by the monks' walk for peace? And then she goes on to say she was so encouraged and uplifted by the monks' walk for peace that it was the talk of the town in Lake Chapala, which is in Mexico. And there were meditations there that were coincided with the meditation that happened in Washington yesterday.
That's beautiful. I wonder if folks remember Occupy movement from 2011. That was the basis of my doctoral research originally, but it what made me want to research the Occupy at that time, Occupy Wall Street, but for me, I was studying Occupy Boston. It was the work of the monks at the camps, right, that would go there every day and hold vigil and sit in meditation. And so I started, like, they were the reason I wanted to study the connection between politics and spirituality. And they're deeply aligned. We think about a lot of our political change makers. They had deeply rich internal spiritual and emotional lives.
And thank you, Bonnie. She said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
There it is. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yeah. And I think, that's for me, one of the things. It's like, once again, as you said, nothing's particularly new, but this situation just seems more loud and vibrant, but it's the same feeling as, in the 60s or 60s, I guess it was, when, people were uniting and marching for peace. And then everybody was, loving each other and, oneness. And like you said, it's a much bigger playing field now. So it's a whole different thing. And it's really a connection with places and people that people never could have imagined, I'm sure, back then.
Yeah.
I mean, but I feel like it's the same thing. And just watching, well, I don't want to get too far into it because otherwise our show will be about something totally different. But anyway, it seems like there's a lot of that going on, and a lot of positive, like the monks, like people that are doing different things. And maybe we'll talk about that. Next week, we will be talking about Black History Month and sharing with you some of the things that we love about Black History Month and more. So
I do want to say one other thing just about, like, because again, where I live, I feel really blessed. I feel peaceful. I'm happy, like there's a lot that I'm grateful for. And I have learned about wine moms on the front lines in Minnesota, and they are my favorite activist group. And so I was like, if I ever hit the streets ever again to protest, I'm going to be with the wine moms. Like, I just love like the image and like these women like holding steady in the freezing cold and then all getting together and having a glass of wine at the end of the day in the face of tyranny. I'm like, that right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun, good things happening and a lot of connection. I mean, like, once again, it's a different connection that could happen if we weren't in this turmoil and crap that's going on. So take a breath, take a moment as we take a moment to listen to some sponsors, and we will be right back after this word from New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here comes the girl. It's more than practical. Here comes the girl. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, and we are back, and yet not in the same format. Natasha is having a mom moment, and she's having a phone call. So I have producer Michael Mangus sitting in with me.
Yes, hi there.
Hi there. So the intention was today to talk about stepping into the most tender of relationships, and that they are a mirror, that not just the romantic ones, not just the friendships that feel like home and wonderful, that even strangers who irritate us in the grocery line, or coworkers who activate us or activate our inner teenager, or the friend that sees the brilliance in us before we do, which would be Bonnie out there for me. Thank you so much. But every single one of those is reflecting something. Every single one of those relationships are reflecting something. So
Guess what?
A belief, a wound, a desire.
I get to leave again.
You did what?
I get to leave again.
Oh, she's back.
She's back.
Yes, I had to be on with the school, but I'm so happy my daughter is doing fine. They're actually letting her take a little nap right now, which I think is going to be good for her.
Okay.
But she's doing good.
All right. So we're just in the middle of just beginning talking about, that every single one of our relationships reflects something, whether it's a belief or a desire or a wound or a forgotten part of ourselves, or, that's asking to be acknowledged, called forth. Mm-hmm. So I think what we're exploring today is how love in all of its forms really becomes a classroom for consciousness. What is it trying to tell us? What is it trying to teach us? How the people in our life show us where we're open, where we're guarded, where we're growing, where we're still hearing old stories or old tapes going on. And it's not really about blame or shame or any of that. It's really about curiosity and noticing the reflections, with a gentleness within us, and just stepping into learning to kind of witness and be able to go, this is what's being shown to me now. This is what life is showing me. Mm-hmm. So we want to step into the mirror together as we talk about it.
I like it. I like it. It's just, I like it. And this morning, I don't know. I've been lately, and I've been told that this is probably connected to menopause, but I think it's also probably connected to other things. But that, several mornings, sometimes during the week, I wake up really anxious, and I try to sort of catch it and work with it, but sometimes I don't catch it, and I don't work with it. But I did this morning, and I sat with one mantra with my breath, and that is that, well, actually it's two mantras. I am in the heart of God, and the heart of God is in me. I am in the divine order of the universe, and the divine order of the universe is in me. And that was my in and out breath mantra. And when I finished the breath work, I just decided our mornings don't have to be hectic. I'm going to slow this right down. We wake up super early. Why am I rushing? What I realized just from that was that my daughters were feeling all hectic and rush and not liking mornings because it was just the pattern that we'd been in since we lived with their dad, because mornings just, I don't know, felt like we had to corral cats. But I was like, no, we're not doing that today. We're going to slow everything right down. We're way up early on time. So we did everything at this like really gentle pace. I even let them watch one of their favorite anime shows as long as we were getting everything done. And it really changed the energy, not just with my daughters in terms of a reflection, but even in the dog. So all the relationships mirrored that. And so even when we got to school saying, I told the educators, like, just, let's be gentle with Macy. I'm here. I can come and get her at any time if she needs it. And just now even calling to sort of check in with them and hearing how Macy sort of has just flowed into her day. She's needing a little rest. So like that energy that set the tone is like carrying over. And it's like this direct mirror, right? And I think like we know about that in terms of the science of attunement. And all this science is based in deep spiritual principles, right? So I feel like that's what I'm noticing. Making the decision to start my day with gentleness is being mirrored back to me.
Say that again.
Making the decision to start my day with gentleness, right? Like not trying to push that anxiety away or just want it to not be there for whatever reason it's there, menopause, whatever. But knowing that I'm in love with the creator that is bigger than menopause.
Yes.
And I can lean into that every single time I remember. Lean into it consciously and watch the miracle of it unfold in this just very gentle way. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And Bonnie's saying at every moment we're at choice, which for her feels empowering. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. Michael's saying one of his spiritual teachers told him that if you want to invoke spirituality, get into a relationship.
I think it's the only way. Like everything about being a human, like, is about a relationship. You know, it really is. From the time we are conceived, unless we were conceived in a test tube, but even that's a relationship, right?
Yeah. It's all a relationship.
Mm.
Yeah. And so I think, just tagging on to what we talked about last week, which was how it feels more challenging to create relationships, friendships, friendships specifically, which you should do before you create a relationship, by the way, but that's just my personal
You mean like you should be friends with the person that you date or marry? Is that what you're saying?
I think that if you have a friend, if it's somebody you want to be friends with, like if you find, like if you have that chemistry and you create that, I don't know, energy, I guess, then I think you have a better relationship.
Okay.
That's what I think. But once again, it's another show. So
I just wanted a bit of clarity in terms of what you were saying there. That's all.
Yeah. So, but just going off of that and talking about, why it's hard or why it's more challenging when you move to a new area or at a certain age or any of those things, so it beckons the question, what are you bringing to that? What are you finding, in yourself or not finding in yourself, or what are you holding as a belief? that could possibly keep you from getting what you want?
I don't know. Well, I guess that, there's no one answer for any of that, I was thinking, sometimes it's things like logistics, and people throw this concept of being time poor around a lot, which I just find fascinating as a concept. But also, I think if we're doing our internal work, and I feel like there's always internal work for us to do, and that does not mean, because I think sometimes when people hear that means that something's wrong with us and we always need to be working on something. Not like that. I mean it in the sense that the one constant we know in the universe is change. And so we're not separate from the universe. So that means we are always becoming. And I'm not just taking that from Michelle Obama's book, but we are always becoming. And so where I am at 50 is not where I was at 40, not where I was at 30. And not like I'm like on some necessarily forward progress, right? I feel like, when we do what is ours to do, I feel it more like a spiral than a line anyways. And so when I'm doing that and I'm paying attention to it, who shows up in my life is very reflective of where I am in that spiral. And there's no good or bad, right? It is what it is. And I think about the card you pulled, right? Like, we don't need to suffer to grow. But I think about the last time I went through a whole seeking friends as an adult and feeling a part of community. It was so much suffering there. And so I think it was like mirroring, or it has mirrored for me my belief or old beliefs around my value and my sense of worth. It's like I had come back around to it again in my mid 40s. And it was interesting.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
I was going to say that, yeah, I mean, I think about different situations, and being really honest, there are times when, I mean, we all play different roles in life, right? And so sometimes when I'm at church or spiritual center, and, depending upon where I'm living from, I have different relationships, right? So when I'm really in tune with and this doesn't happen very often because I forget that it means something to someone, but like when I'm the minister's wife, I am a little more guarded and a little more, I'm not necessarily I'm on guard. I'm just different. I'm different, just because I'm quieter or I'm more reserved or I'm, so I can see, again, just getting back to last week's show, I could see especially when you move somewhere and you have expectations and, and you think, well, it's not going to be like it was when I was in LA. It's not going to be like my friends here. And you're always putting up the boundaries already instead of, like you said, living from the card and going, what I'm looking for is joy. How can this be a joyous moment where, I'm looking for friends that are saying what you do want instead of what you don't want. I'm looking for creative people. I'm looking for, conscious people that have the same, whatever, that are interesting to talk to, or whatever, has same likes or dislikes or hobbies, whatever it is that you're looking for. And then you're projecting different. So it's really about how we project, right?
Mm.
And I want to just share this quote from Eckhart Tolle, who says, "What you meet in another is yourself."
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing that gets you every time, is it's like, what part do I play in this equation?
Yeah. 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 And I think sometimes that it can be painful, but it doesn't have to be suffering, right? But it can be painful. And I think that's what I was kind of speaking to when I was sharing, I think last week and just a little while ago, like my first sort of foray into trying to be a part of a community and building friendships. It was a very painful process. And what I now in retrospect can appreciate is that I was revisiting at that time a point in my healing spiral. When I say spiral, I just mean like the core themes of our life. They tend to show up over and over again, just in different forms, but the theme is kind of the same. So if the core wound that I think one carries is I don't matter, or the core wound is something else, then it will show up in different ways, right? And we'll know where we are with that when we are in relationship to that wound again. And so that wound showed up for me, that wound, that core wound of I don't matter. That is the core wound that sort of like my soul wound, trauma wound. And it showed up. And so, but before I noticed it, became conscious, I was already engaged in all of the behaviors that I engage in when that wound is moving through me unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd done all the things that I would normally do from that place of the false belief that I don't matter. And yeah, it was painful. And so now I feel like I'm called in my attempts to create friendships at this stage in my life in a new country, paying really close attention, really close attention to what I'm carrying. What am I really, really carrying? How am I talking to myself and about myself? Like on the most minute level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's so important. I mean, for anybody, especially when you have the intention, when you have any intention of like meeting new people, making new friends, getting a different social group, whatever. I mean, you're going into it with those thoughts. And if you're carrying, if you're unconsciously carrying emotions and old stories and, then it becomes that emotional contagion, right? That everybody's going to mimic that back to you.
Mm. Yeah.
And then you're like, I don't want to be friends with that.
Mm.
And well, that's, so part of it is like excavating within ourselves and seeing really what we're carrying and what we're holding on to. And
really finding ways to not shame ourselves for what we find. I think that's so critical because, even saying in this space, naming, because I don't have shame, that my core wound that I picked up in childhood was that I don't matter. That was the wound, right? And that's the wound. And I don't carry shame there. And that's taken a lot of love to love that little girl who rises to the surface every now and then. And to build a relationship with that part of me. So I feel like I just want to name that when we come face to face through friendship with something that's being mirrored to us that feels less than wonderful, is there a way for us to be kind and gentle with ourselves? Because one of the things about living in Western culture is that we learn pretty well how to be harsh with ourselves and how to beat ourselves up really good.
Mm-hmm.
And so just even unlearning that is a miracle, like in so many ways.
Yes.
Okay, Robyn, I'm going to ask you something, put you on the spot.
Okay.
Okay. What do
But
you
I have
think?
a question for you after that.
Okay. All right. So, Robyn, what do you think your friendship with me mirrors in you?
Well, I think, honestly, I think it's what I think. The first thing that came to my mind was just a playfulness and your willingness to play. And I think on some level, when we came together too, there was that permission to explore, and your your lifelong learnerness, even though mine isn't as pronounced with doctrines and things, it's still that openness and wanting to play and explore and know more. I don't know. What do you think?
I like it. I like that it mirrors playfulness. Yeah. I I I do, I am one of these people who both takes myself really seriously, but also don't take myself really seriously, right? I walk that line. And I know, like, when I think about my friendship with you, what really stands out to me is the way you carry this really quiet dignity and this willingness to embrace, like, all kinds of people across all kinds of difference. Like, when I like just knowing about some of your friends and meeting some of them, like, I'm like, wow, that's such a vast array of types of people to be friends with. And that does, like, that's a thing that I feel my friendship with you mirrors in me, which is something that I admire. And maybe when I talk about the quiet dignity, I feel like maybe that's something I might look up to a little bit. Something that I want to emulate a little bit more. But I'm just so loud.
Yeah, but not always. And no, I get that. I mean, there's things in you too that I think, I think so. I think it comes down to this. I think, like, when in our friends, like, we're able to see the truth of who they really are. And that's a wide variety of things. That's just this amazing bouquet of different flowers. And so I think, like, there are things like that I look at in you and I'm like, oh yeah, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could do that, and I could, and you could, and we just do it differently. But I think it's like, we know it's in there. If you have to pull it out of your tool chest, it's in there.
Yeah.
Otherwise we wouldn't be able to even see it in each other. So that's a perfect segue, though. That's a perfect segue, because what I was going to say is, I was just going to give the listeners just a few exercises to maybe think about or journal about in the mirror, and maybe you want to just write this down and like take some time and journal with it about like why, who am I drawn to right now in my life, and what are their qualities in them reflect. Is it something I desire, or maybe it's something I value in myself. It doesn't necessarily have to be what you want. You might just see the similarities, right? And then that's about the attraction. And then there's also like the activation, like who triggers you, or irritates you, and what's that belief or fear or old story that it might be mirroring back or allow you to uncover.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the appreciation, like who sees you clearly, maybe even more clearly than you see yourself. And what does that reflection reveal about your gifts, or, or what you bring to the party.
Yeah.
And I would just write freely without judgment, just, stream of consciousness, and not trying to solve anything, but just noticing, what comes up and what reflections you get. And, and you can do it when you're with people too, just when you stop and appreciate your friends, like, what is that? Why do you love them? And what's going on? What do you see? And then acknowledging, just like Natasha said, the little girl in you, or little child in you, or little boy in you that says, it doesn't matter, I'm not worthy, you feel abandoned, whatever your core thing is, and say and see that that's not true. And all this beauty and all this that you see and are in the world, that it's telling you in those moments that what you bring to the party is valuable.
Can I share a little story? It's about us. Yeah. Again, I don't know if the reason I'm such an open book is probably connected to the way my brain is wired in terms of my neurodiversity, which I am embracing fully. But you would notice when my stuff would get activated in a group setting, like, like my old tape, my old tape, and you would just call me cornflake. And then I come back online. I feel like, oh yeah, that's cornflake. I'm coming. Yes, I am loved. I am lovable. I'm back online.
Yeah, but it was important, to nurture your. I remember the first time I said that, because I was like, oh, what do you need, my little cornflake? Blah blah blah. But knowing, as silly as it wasn't silly.
Yeah.
We need to feel special.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. When I was saying walking that line between like how I take myself really seriously, but then there's a part of me that doesn't take myself. Like, I feel like there's this line there that we walk, and I feel like there's this, place when you are like, all right, cornflake, right? It's like, it's that line again, right? Where it's special, and it's simple, and it all matters. And when we have people in our lives that deeply see us, that third journaling exercise you gave, really, really think about how you can nurture those connections, because they matter. They help you remember yourself when you forget, and we are a forgetful species.
It's true. And I will say, those people are sometimes the people that aren't even around in your life all the time. But they're generally the people that you can go back to at any time, and it'll be like no time's passed.
Yeah,
because it's a safe place.
They're your curated people. That's what I say. They're my curated people.
Yeah, they're your tribe.
Yep.
Well, tribe, it's time for us to go, but we will be back next week and talking a little bit about Black History Month and things we love, things you might not have even heard about, but we're going to let you know. So be here. Thank you, Bonnie, for joining us. And remember to take joy and delight from that card. Take joy and delight out into your world and put it in everything you do. The world needs it.
Amen.
Okay. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk. Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought, Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. And the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.